all the wonder and awe about the original Jurassic Park, which made me want to study dinosaurs in the first place, is now null and void. They are now a license to print money and an excuse to shove popcorn in your mouth for entertainment, rather than just giving you something that is full of joy, knowledge, and fear that is earned to audiences and critics alike. Thankfully, this is the last movie of this franchise, but who knows? Greed always finds a way.
Hold on to your butts.
Like I said before, greed always finds a way. It's no surprise that my grades for the Jurassic World movies have declined over the years, and all of which can be summarized in my Jurassic World Dominion rant. For the too long didn't watch crowd, allow me to give you the bullet points. Jurassic World doesn't hold up whatsoever. Fallen Kingdom, terrible, although all of it is entirely on J.A. Bayona's shoulders, and quite frankly, he isn't to blame for that stinker. And Dominion is easily the worst of the three. The Jurassic World movies were like the very thing that Ian Malcolm warned us about. Unwanted creations, a license to print money just to solely pander to your 1990s nostalgia and your affinity with dinosaurs, rather than giving scripts to talented filmmakers who can try and recapture the glory of the original with an equally superb installment. And so here we sit in 2025, and Universal is still releasing yet another Jurassic World film, and they're gonna keep slapping that brand on whatever film is coming out from them again and again until people finally realize and come to their senses that these movies are pure balderdash. That said, of all the Jurassic World films that I have seen, this is actually one of the better ones. Now, don't take my compliment for Jurassic World Rebirth as high praise. Calling this movie one of the best in the series is like saying, yeah, the poop smells really awful, but at least it has whipped cream and sprinkles on it. One thing to note about this movie is that this isn't a film that's being directed by Colin Trevorrow or a chimpanzee randomly hitting keys on a keyboard. It's being directed by a very visionary director, Gareth Edwards, who also directed the reboot of Godzilla and The Creator, which I also thought was pretty good, despite it having a messy third act and some contrivances on the passenger side of the car. However, seeing him as a director who is going back to direct another movie from a blockbuster franchise, especially with a movie like this, it makes me feel like that he's being picked as yet another random director for hire. Somebody who Steven Spielberg can pick, who cannot say no to any script, no matter how bad it is. But hey, at least David Koepp, the writer for the original Jurassic Park, is back to this franchise writing the script down, so at least we could be something that could be at least mediocre at best, right? Here's the snag. The movie is so derivative and pointless, and it doesn't even try to do anything ambitious or out of the ordinary, that it repeats the basic formula from a bad Jurassic Park movie, such as idiotic characters, corporate villains, and plot armor-riddled action sequences. Talk about deja vu. So why does this film exist? Well, in our story, it takes place right after the events of Jurassic World Dominion, as all of humanity and dinosaurs are coexisting together in harmony. I can't believe I said that sentence either. However, for the dinosaurs, nobody is caring about them anymore. Nobody is going to museums, and that's just not gonna happen. And around the world, they are dying from climate change and diseases, and can only survive in a specific region around the equator. Our protagonists, the mercenary Zora Bennett and paleontologist Dr. Henry Loomis, are hired by Martin Krebs, an executive from pharmaceutical company Parker Genix, to form a team of operatives to travel to a secret island along the equator that no one knew about, in order to find 3 of the largest prehistoric creatures from land, sea, and air, which could hopefully hold the answer for heart disease. Meanwhile, there's a subplot with a father, his 2 daughters, and the oldest daughter's annoying boyfriend who you want to see die, but unfortunately doesn't. Or simply in this movie because, God forbid, we need a family with obnoxious teenagers in a Jurassic Park movie. Like a lot of these movies, it's time to give the devil its due, before we send it straight to hell. Much like J.A. Bayona, Gareth Edwards has such a creative visual eye for how he wants to tell the story, even if it's crap. The wide shots are amazing, giving us a great sense of scale, showing us how massive and jaw-dropping these dinosaurs are. Sometimes these shots are deliberately there to serve nostalgia candy, such as the Titanosaurus scene that is basically just a retread of any other scene that has to do with looking up at a sauropod. But wide shots of the Mosasaurus jumping out of the water, or the Tyrannosaurus Rex going in for the kill, really take your breath away. Even the CGI itself is marvelous. The dinosaur modeling and the design of ancient predators and herbivores are wildly impressive and much improved from the previous entries. The scientifically accurate version of the Spinosaurus looks good, the Aquilops looks wonderful, and everything from the T-Rex to the Titanosaurus are textured, polished, and shown in all of their glory. The film doesn't have actors who don't put forth any level of charisma or act like they don't want to be involved. Nobody in this film is legitimately phoning their performance in. Scarlett Johansson, Mahershala Ali, Jonathan Bailey, with whatever characterization they're given, they manage to take the material and provide a performance that is at least believable to the viewer. And I think that this is also complementary to Gareth Edwards' ability of directing his actors, as he's done for a majority of his films. Though, while I may commend the performances, I can't say the same thing about their characters. There's not a three-dimensional, well-rounded character to be had in a movie this basic and formulaic. Nobody has anything resembling a character arc, nobody develops in any capacity. They are given the bare minimum of characterization. Characters would have conversations with each other that are not only about explaining the plot over and over again, but discuss something very devastating and very tragic that has happened in their past, and it's nothing more but surface level. It's the illusion of depth. And of course, because it's a Jurassic Park, Jurassic World movie, we also gotta have that one villain, the evil, greedy corporate villain who wants to do things and exact his plans for money. Except that in this case, the film tries to make him explicitly evil for no reason whatsoever, other than the fact that, hey, we need a villain in a Jurassic Park movie. On top of that, the film tries to make this argument, or a point at the end of the film, by trying to say something about healthcare and how medicine should be distributed. And it comes across as such a childish view on how the world works, especially given the context of the film. However, reverting back to the visual effects, another thing I will give the movie credit for is that these mutated dinosaurs that this movie introduced look like experiments gone wrong, and not just another generically designed theropod with frills on its back, such as the Indominus Rex and Indoraptor. There are these genetically modified dinosaurs that look like dragons, which are essentially a crossbreed between a velociraptor and a pterodon, that look designed well enough. And then there's also this hodgepodge of all different types of dinosaurs strapped onto a Tyrannosaurus Rex, in which you get the Distortus Rex. That, for the sake of this silly looking design and just for the sake of being comedic, we're gonna call it the Derposaurus Rex. Thank you for the name, Total Biscuit. Rest in peace. The downside of these mutated monstrosities, the film doesn't really take advantage of any of them. The entire film doesn't act like the buildup of our hero's journey led to this point and treats them all as if they were an afterthought. You think that the island's main threat would be all sorts of mutated predators out to kill our heroes, but they just aren't utilized that well. The Derposaurus Rex is shown at the very beginning of the film where everything is going haywire because a Snickers wrapper gets in and deactivates the Derposaurus Rex's containment. Oh wait, I wasn't supposed to tell you that. There's one scene in which the dragon-like dinosaurs kill a bunch of raptors while one of the characters is peeing right next to a tree. Yes, you heard that correctly. I'm not going to repeat it again. And then the both show up for such limited amount of time in the big climax of the film. Well, now that I accidentally spoiled something preposterous, let's talk about the plot, or what the film calls an excuse to bring forth paint-by-numbers dinosaur action scenes. and this film has it by the buttload. All of them having to do with being chased by or avoid being eaten by certain dinosaurs, and they all end exactly how you would expect them to. Plot armor left and right, and characters surviving impossible odds that would normally kill them. However, the action scenes not only make the characters look like idiots, but it rewards them for being idiots. There is a action scene that has to do with our characters trying to outrun a mosasaurus and a hungry pack of Spinosauruses. And let me tell you something, this scene legitimately pissed me off, because the movie has to go out of its way to cheat in order for minor innocent characters to live and for no-name soldiers or villains to die. What happens is that when the daughter is trying to call for help, she gets kicked into the ocean by the big bad pharmaceutical executive. This leads to her boyfriend jumping into the ocean to save her life. While admittedly it is very heroic of him to do so, he and his girlfriend are going to be eaten alive by the Spino Squad. Keep in mind, the Spinosauruses and Mosasaurus are still chasing the boat that they're in. Then her father and her little sister decide to jump out of the boat into the water just so they can meet up somewhere safe. Wait, what? And then Duncan, Mahershala Ali's character, notifies the group that he is going to try and crash land onto the beach to escape the Mosasaurus. So everybody does the logical thing by packing up all of their equipment and jumping overboard. Why? Then Duncan crashes onto the beach, and it is the most safest crash landing ever witnessed. That everyone could have easily survived that crash without a hitch. You want to know why that scene infuriated me so badly? Let me tell you why. While the characters are jumping overboard, the Spinosauruses that are tracking down the boat are just gone. Gone. Like, they just vanished out of thin air. And then once the main group arrive onto the beach shore, they're just suddenly there. And they don't even try killing them. But I don't know if the filmmakers or the audience watching knows this, but Spinosauruses can walk on land to eat them. Oh wait, that's what happens! But it only happens to a no-name person. Nobody of significance or even a main character dies. And speaking of climaxes, this is a total spoiler for the movie. So if you want to watch this movie, you shouldn't, but at least prepare yourself for what you're getting into. Because I just spoiled not too long ago that a Snickers wrapper breaks the containment for the Derposaurus Rex. It has to do with the character making a heroic sacrifice. And if you saw the trailer online, you pretty much know who is going to attempt that sacrifice. The film shows that that character gave his life to save his friends by guiding the Derposaurus Rex away from everybody else by using a flare. And that is an incredibly heroic and noble thing to do. It all turns out that the character who made the ultimate sacrifice actually survived all along. But the worst part about all that, that character manages to escape the clutches of the Derposaurus Rex off screen. That is such bullcrap, movie. You can't just hang the sword of freaking Damocles over a character's head, only to pull the ultimate cop-out at the end. I mean, like, who would even approve something so stupid? Steven! Of course, when you're watching Rebirth, you're gonna be in for some beautiful looking CGI, some dinosaur action set pieces, or throwing in member berries such as playing the theme song 3 or 4 times in separate instances, or retelling events that happened in the original movie or in the books. But that's the problem. The original had so many complex and fascinating themes and messages while delivering on dinosaur escapism. In this film, there's no message to deliver. There's no theme to explore, there's no story to tell, there's no characters to care about. It's nothing but moments to contrive a dinosaur set piece. And you know what? Admittedly, I think the person responsible for the fall of this franchise is Steven Spielberg, including, in my opinion, what is the worst thing that has ever happened to this franchise, The Lost World Jurassic Park. Not because it is the worst movie of the franchise, because it isn't. It's because it is the foundation for what this franchise has become. A continuous string of mindless dinosaur escapades filled with stupid characters making idiotic decisions, greedy corporate villains that want to exploit dinosaurs and their resources for money, with nameless characters and cartoon villains ripe for the slaughter, while delivering on a very nonsensical and diluted plot. And with how much this movie is making, you can bet that they're gonna make another one. Like I said, greed always finds a way. My name is Luke Nukem, and you, my friends, have been blown away.
Right, I'm a dinosaur. Yeah.